And that's a fact. Europe's reaction? The European Union and the G7 are preparing a complete ban on maritime transport of Russian oil. This became known this week. But while our partners are still hesitating, and as we know, they think things over thoroughly and for a long time, the defense forces of Ukraine have imposed their own maritime sanctions. And they were so painful that Putin immediately started threatening to cut Ukraine off from the Black Sea. What exactly happened and how we responded to Russian attacks this week, our correspondent for TSN Week, Oleksandr Zagorodniy, will tell you.
There's going to be an impact now. So what? That's it. Bang.
In the past 2 weeks, Ukraine's defense forces have carried out the largest and probably the most successful strike on the strategic enterprises of the aggressor country.
See? The chemical plant is burning.
Nevinomaisk Azot is one of the largest chemical enterprises in the world. To understand its size, let's take a look. A segment from Russian television.
The territory of Nevinomaisk Azot is enormous. It's like a separate city. It's very interesting to visit it. But not everyone gets such an opportunity.
But good drones got that chance. They flew in and struck.
They blew it up. There goes the smoke.
The military say it's a very lucrative target. Besides fertilizers, this plant also produces acetic acid and ammonium nitrate. Thousands of tons of components for explosives. The plant will not be operating for some time. In recent days, good drones have also visited the Ryazan and Syzran plants. Oil refineries.
You can see the smoke. This is what's happening here in the morning. Why did I even come here?
The port in Temryuk is also getting hit, and Kadyrov's pride is taking a bit of a blow too. The Akhmat Regiment base and Grozny city. This week, the most powerful power plant, the Kostroma thermal power station, was also hit. Its capacity is equivalent to 4 nuclear units, power units.
The Kostroma power plant is the pride of Russian energy. It is one of the largest power plants in Europe. It produces 3% of all the electricity in the country.
This week, the drone operators of the main intelligence directorate's special unit Ghost managed to reach it with their UAVs. Several combat aircraft, including a MiG-29, were destroyed in Crimea, as well as heavy drones and radar antennas. But all these successes pale in comparison to the attack on the port. Novorossiysk. Drones managed to destroy the remote docking device of the equipment that allows oil to be loaded into large tankers. The Russians plan to repair these installations in a year and a half. And because of the Russian tailor, they export a little more. 2% of the world's oil. At another time, gasoline prices could have spiked all over the planet. But not now. This has already been checked by expert Serhiy Koyun. The price of oil in the world remains stable and low.
In fact, believe me, everyone in the world is just waiting for Russia to cut its production because there is too much oil. Including American companies and Saudi companies. They will simply outpace the OPEC countries. They will replace this Russian export very quickly, and no one will even notice. That's why I think there are far more people in the world who want that export to stop.
Do they have anywhere to put the oil?
No, there's nowhere to put it.
But only a few drones managed to reach Novorossiysk, which the enemy has fortified from the sea and the air. And that's why another way was found to block Russian oil exports. Tankers. Here's how the strike by unmanned boats on the vessel is described. A Russian captain in a radio interception.
Thank God the people are safe. We were heading to Novorossiysk. We were attacked by unmanned boats and immediately lost communication. We might need it. Emergency towing.
Strangely, Russia's Shadow Fleet tankers are being hit all over the world. For example, like this one near the port of Dakar. This is West Africa. There were 4 explosions on the oil tanker Mersin, on the outside of the hull. Water got into the engine room. The crew was unharmed, but the vessel was partially sunk. It is unknown who carried out the sabotage. Military expert Ivan Stupak has already counted 10 ships in the world's oceans that were transporting Russian oil. And now they are either burning or sinking. Oh.
There's no need to hit Novorossiysk. You can strike at a weak spot. And we saw a very wild reaction from Putin. If these are pirate attacks, well, all of this has already happened. We'll cut them off. Yes, we'll cut them off, we'll bomb them. Oh, that means it hit a nerve, even though we've only just started. We haven't really done anything yet.
There are almost 1,500 tankers in Russia's Shadow Fleet, but there are only a few dozen owners. And some of these businessmen have already stated that they will not work with Russia. It's dangerous and very expensive. And it's not just about the repairs themselves. Regular insurance for even the smallest tanker costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. But war risk insurance multiplies everything by 10. And then there's the crew, who refuse to sail on a ship with a target painted on its side. Idle time for a tanker like Avdotia also means losses. That's millions of dollars not earned.
When the market gets a signal like tankers being blown up, it simply means just stop. Accordingly, this is a very powerful move. And honestly, yes, this is what sanctions should look like.
Unlike gas storage facilities, there are no natural underground oil reservoirs. By the way, the Russians' tanker fleet was serving as storage. Russians are running out of places to put their oil. Some of it, of course, they'll ship to ports on the Baltic, some to the Far East, but that won't solve the problem. There are two options. Either shut down the wells, or sell oil so cheaply that it covers all the risks for the owners of the shadow fleet. Previously, there was possibly another option. The Russians could escort tanker caravans with warships from the Black Sea Fleet. But it is either at the bottom, like the flagship cruiser Moskva, or it does not leave the bay at all. Novorossiysk. As strange as it may sound, but now it is Ukraine that has become one of the real global regulators of the oil market. Well, who would have thought, right? Gradually, Ukraine is joining the list of countries that influence the global oil market. Through the port of Novorossiysk, we are already controlling the transportation of a bit more. 2% of the world's oil. That's not so little.
There were 164 clashes with the enemy on the front line over the past day. Most of them, once again, were in the Pokrovsk direction. In this area, the occupiers launch assaults every day, 50 times just in the past day. The Russians are shelling along the entire front line, dropping aerial bombs from the sky with missiles. They shelled our defenders' positions more than 4,000 times and launched over 6,000 drones in a single day. The invaders tried to attack positions in the Lyman sector 16 times, 18 times in the Kostiantynivka area, and about 20 times near Huliai-Pol. They are also actively trying to break through the defense in both the Oleksandrivka and Sloviansk directions. However, wherever the occupiers try to break through, the Ukrainian armed forces meet them without ceremony. In the urban areas of Pokrovsk, our soldiers are clearing out Russian forces. They have also driven them out of areas in the Dnipropetrovsk region. And in this same Pokrovsk direction alone, more than 100 occupiers have been eliminated. And TSN correspondent Yulia Kirienko is in Donetsk region, having just returned from the line of combat. Yulia, welcome. Thank you for joining the broadcast. We know that you are near Pokrovsk. Tell us about the situation there and how our military assess it.
Congratulations, Natalka. I really am now. He is here. Still in the unit of the 82nd Brigade, which was transferred just to fight in Pokrovsk from the Dobropol direction. You see their symbol behind me today. We saw our guys clearing the northern outskirts. Pokrovskaya. I would like to note that information has emerged that our troops have left the dry ravine of Lysivka in order to improve your line of demarcation. And I really confirm this. This information is true. They withdrew in order to protect our infantry, since the Russians continue to amass forces in Pokrovska, and indeed there are quite a lot of them. Just one battalion of the 82nd Brigade, after several weeks, over 3 weeks of being here, has already been depleted. Nearly 500 Russians were eliminated, maybe even a bit more. However, the occupiers continue to advance on the city. I want to note that every day there are very serious combat clashes. Today, we saw an attempt by assault troops to break through to the industrial zone. Our troops destroyed these assault troops, of course, absolutely successfully. But indeed, the situation is quite tense. The Russians continue their attempts to cut off Western logistics in Pokrovsk. Well, and of course, our troops are trying to expand the logistical routes, and they say that for the infantry, in order to enter Pokrovsk, and for our assault troops as well, sometimes it takes up to 2 days because the situation is quite difficult. Indeed, all these kilometers have to be covered on foot, and that's more than 10 kilometers just to keep going. To defend the city. In fact, the situation in both Pokrovsk and Myrngrad is quite difficult, but I want to dispel the remarks of some experts on social media claiming that Pokrovsk has fallen. Just the other day, I read a lot of such information on social media that Pokrovsk has once again been captured by the Russians yet again. This is absolutely false information. Our forces continue to resist the enemy there. Our forces. There are some successes we cannot speak about openly yet, but the time will come. Official sources will report about this. But I really want to assure you that the fight in the city and for the city is ongoing. Our soldiers, in particular the paratroopers of the 82nd and 25th Airborne Brigades, are trying to push the enemy out of there and save this city. So that's the information for now. Of course, I'll share more details in our upcoming broadcast since the situation with communication is very difficult. Right now I'm here on Starlink, but To upload our video materials, we need a bit more connectivity. And right now in Kramatorsk, especially where we are, there's absolutely no electricity, since the Russians struck the substation again yesterday, so that's making things a bit more difficult. But in the next broadcasts, you'll see more information about how our soldiers are standing up to the Russians, and I want to reassure you once again that our forces are present in Pokrovsk. We need to believe in the armed forces, support them, and not read news from unofficial sources claiming that Pokrovsk has fallen.
Thank you, Yulia. We look forward to your reports in the next TCH broadcasts from Ukrainian Donetsk region. She was in direct contact with us. Yulia Kirienko, we continue. Volodymyr Zelensky is currently holding talks with British, French, and German leaders in London.